Please welcome not one, but two Alexises to the stage.
I'm Alexis Piperidis, and it's Alexis and Alexis. We've been as business partners together for the last 20 years, but our first contact with computers goes way beyond that. These are our first computers. I don't know if you've seen them in a museum or something. The one on the right is mine. It goes back to 1983 or so.
Mine is 82, actually.
All right. The thing is that one day my uncle visits our house and says, "Hey, I got you a present." Oh, amazing. It was the best gift I ever got. It had 2K RAM, no graphics whatsoever, just characters that had shapes on them. And because of that, I had to learn BASIC. That's what the only thing that I could do. I had a programming language called BASIC, and I learned that. When my mother asked me, "So how's your computer? How's this machine that you have got?" The only thing I replied, I remember, is like, if you see there is a map there, I said, the map doesn't have our country on. I was like, but the good news is that a few years later, when we got our first PCs with CGA cards, which is 320 by 200 pixels resolution, we got a Pixel. So we both come from Cyprus. It's an island in the Mediterranean Sea, otherwise known as the One Pixel Island, at least back then. So
I think the arrow is covering that pixel.
Yeah, most probably.
That bit.
So we both love building tools for product design teams, and that's our passion. We started our first design and development agency back in 1998 in Cyprus, and we expanded all over Europe. We had customers in all industries of all sizes. We were doing custom work for them, websites, content management systems. But we're a product-oriented company building software behind every client that we were delivering. Fast forward in 2013, we decided to pivot the company and do what we love to do the most, which is building productivity tools for product design teams. And we started with Proto IO, which is a prototyping platform. And recently we launched Overflow, our second product, which is a user flow diagramming platform tailored for designers. Today, we're not here as subject matter experts about design critic meetings, and we're not at all experts about that. What we're here for is to share our experience that we gained in the last 20 years interacting with customers and people, teams of different sizes and different times working on different projects. During the last 20 years, we've seen both sides of the design critic coin. Ourselves had to present many times our designs to clients and get feedback so that we can iterate and move forward. And other times we had to act as stakeholders or as decision makers and give feedback to our designers about our internal tools that we're building as a company. So in both cases, it's tough, and design critics have lots of rules and things that you have to follow so that they work and they're perfect. Today, we're not going to focus on the critiquer side of things. We're going to focus on the presenter side of things and talk about, from our experience, how designers and what designers can do to make design critics better.
So to give you an idea, as a designer, you've done your work, you're very proud of it, you go in front of your audience and you start talking about your designs. But before you know it, things turn out a little bit like this. It feels like you are the guest of honor of a firing squad. People are going to be shooting at you, throwing, I don't know, tomatoes and eggs and apples and arrows at you that you have to dodge. And simply because you are getting feedback that, like, you know, make the logo bigger, or, oh, that's my favorite color, or that's not my favorite color. Or why did you choose that font? Why did you do this? Why did you do that? And I'm sure a lot of you have been in situations like this, where essentially you're not getting anything out of it. You're getting people's opinions, their preferences, but really you're not getting anything that is of value to you. So you know that things have gone wrong when the meetings are going longer than expected, that the discussions, they run forever and they are off topic. And at the end of the day, you look at your notebook and basically you have no actionable feedback. You don't know what you are supposed to go when you go back to your drawing board. And this is essentially the problem that we were facing more often than not, and we decided to do something about it. So as Alexis said, these are some practical ideas about after going through, what causes these problems and what causes these kind of situations and how to avoid it. We hope to leave you with some very practical tips today.
Come on.
They said point it up. There's a light, white light.
All right. So before we examine what design critiques, where design critiques fail and what we can do about it, let's see what design critiques really are. So basically, design critic meetings are meetings, and their purpose is to evaluate design and provide actionable feedback on whether or not it meets the business objectives and user needs. Pretty straightforward. What would the... All right. This is our layout, and this is our format. By our, I mean our companies. Through our experience and the many years that we worked together as a team, we formulated this, and we believe that design critic meetings should be 60 minutes. No less than that, no longer than that. And design critic meetings are held throughout the life cycle of a project, like from the very beginning that you start working on a project until the end. You have frequent meetings that you go through and over the designs. Usually 7 or 8 people participate. On the one side, we have the presenter. In our case, it's usually the designer that presents. And on the other hand, we have the critiquers. Critiquers are people that are involved, people in the team, like fellow designers or people from engineering, product, marketing, and definitely people from like stakeholders, like decision makers should be there. In some cases, 1 or 2 people from the critiquers take the roles of the facilitator or a note taker so that they can assist the designer and the presenter to run the design critic meeting. All right. So as I've said before, we're not experts about this. However, we've seen things happening and going wrong in design meetings. A lot of things can go wrong, from people being off topic all the time, people not coming prepared. When the teams are big, we see everybody talking at the same time. Usually, it's never the designers/presenters' fault. However, the presenter has the power to try and prevent the design critic meetings from going wrong. And what we're focusing on today is 3 things that designers can do to avoid design critic failure. The first thing is preparation. Usually at our company, when we'll have a meeting, the designer will initiate the meeting by sending an invitation. And the invitation, we've seen it many times, used to be blank. So I add 7, 8 people that they're going to participate in the meeting, a title, the room, and that's it. That didn't work out, and it never works out. The thing that you need to do to make sure that your design critic will be a success, you need to add a few information on your invitation, like, say, state the meeting goal. Talk a little bit about the agenda and what's going to happen during the meeting. Remind people why they have to attend and why their expertise is needed for that meeting. And definitely, most definitely, provide additional material. And the additional material, first of all, it's your designs. What you're going to talk about should be included way before the meeting, at least 24 hours when you send out the invitation. And of course, material from previous meeting, findings, or any other things that you want to share. By allowing people to get the invitation and giving them time to prepare themselves, you avoid a lot of risks and things that may go wrong during the meetings. So the second step is setting the stage. Many times, designers, we begin like this. Hey guys, we're excited. We want to show our new designs, and we start like, thank you for coming. Let's begin from the homepage. And in 5 minutes after that, people start talking about anything else rather than the things that you would like to hear. Talking about colors, typography, content, copy, layout, illustrations, name it. I mean, that's wrong. What we believe we should be doing as designers is a different approach, slightly different approach. Yes? Yes. Okay. I think it's 5 clicks per slide. All right. There you go. So our approach changed like this. Hey guys, thank you for coming. I hope that everybody came prepared, but if not, no need to worry about it. Our agenda today is as follows. So you start by giving the agenda again. It's important to remind people about the business objectives and customer needs. They need to hear it, and they need to be focused on this meeting. They also need to understand any constraints that you may have as a team. For example, you have budget, resources constraints, time constraints. You need to point them out so that people will not start talking about things that are not feasible to be done. And the most important thing is to remind them what they're going to see and the fidelity of that thing. So if you're going to present a wireframe or a high-fidelity prototype or a design of a mock-up or a medium-fidelity mock-up, you need to tell people, and they need to be aware whether they will, what they see has real copy, final design, layout, again, colors and everything. Otherwise, you run into the risk of people start judging wireframes or start talking about giving feedback on why is that thing there and should it be there. So, over to you. So, as long as you've brought everybody on the same page so they know what to expect, they know what they're looking at, the fidelity and everything, it's important, of course, to actually start presenting. And in presenting, you have different tools available and also different techniques that you can use to prepare, to show your designs to the audience. Now, what we do traditionally is that we have 3 different options in the company. The first one is, the one that we don't use so much is that you open up your design tool and you show your canvas with your artboards on and start going through them. Or maybe you export them into static PNGs and you know, just double-click, open them, and discuss them. Of course, as you can see here, everything is like laid out the way you designed them. There's no real connection between the screens, and it's obviously very difficult for someone to follow. So it's not something that we recommend. It's not something that we really do. But what you do out of your designs is that you can put together a prototype, and prototypes are very, very helpful to put some context into the screens that you designed. They can be very simple. They can be just click-through prototypes that only take you from one screen to another and maybe a few scrollable areas, and that's it. You can develop them even further, of course, because you can add more interactions like swipes and pinches and what have you. Or you can add, you know, animations and take them all the way, improve them, and take them all the way to feeling like the real app. This is pretty good. I mean, prototypes do work, but they have one big problem: the fact that they constrain you, and it's like you're looking at things through a keyhole. So prototypes, we normally use them most of the times for when we go out to user testing and we want to get the actual user's opinion. So we give them a device that runs the prototype and we get feedback about how the whole UX feels like. For lately, what we have been using internally, and I think it's more successful, is using user flow diagrams. User flow diagrams, they take you out of that keyhole and they give you a big perspective, very similar to how it's been designed in your UI tool,
But if you transfer over your designs into a user flow diagramming tool and you connect your screens together, you can annotate them, you can use different colors for the connectors. And traditionally, what you do with user flow diagrams is that you put them on the wall, and then they can become like a source of truth for everyone when they try to understand, how a user can achieve a user journey, and how the user journey, that the user can follow to achieve a goal. For example, signing up for a new account or adding something to their shopping carts. You can say how many clicks are required to take the user to add something to the shopping cart, or how many different ways there are into someone being able to add something to their shopping cart. Now, with interactive user flow diagrams, you get the additional benefit that you can actually click through the screens, click on the connectors, and it's much easier to actually follow the path. And instead of just trying to follow the lines, you can just click, and the application will zoom from one to the other. You can zoom into different subflows, for example, or zoom out to the bigger picture. So it gives you the flexibility while you are presenting to switch from the bigger bird's eye view, where you discuss, the flow, or zooming into design detail on an individual screen. So, over to you.
All right. Summarizing, design critic meetings are a must thing to do, and they shouldn't fail. The designer is the leader of that meeting, and designers should have and use the right tools and methods so that they can narrate their design story and show their designs better and get answers to their questions so that they can iterate and move forward. What we do as a company, we've put together everything under a design critic guide. Remember that design critic guides, there is no golden rule book for all the companies, all teams of any sizes and any type of business. Each company should formulate their own design critic guide, and you should retrospect and fine-tune that as you go forward. What we did here, we prepared one for us that we love to share with other teams, and you can actually download it, you get the source, you can preview it, and it includes pretty much what we covered today, but also checklists for the facilitator and the note taker, and some nice cards that are rules for the critiquers that we didn't cover at all. Rules that they allow people to be prepared when they enter the meeting, to respect others when to talk, to wait their turn, not to drift off topic and stuff like that. Feel free to download and use it any way you like. Thank you very much. I think that's about it. Thank you.
Thanks.